Good afternoon and welcome to Wolf United WFC with me, Anthony Wilson. I'm joined by John Foster today. How are you, John?
Yeah, very well, thank you. Yeah, not too bad. Bit of a disappointing result midweek, but we might get into that in the show. But wasn't necessarily unexpected, but still disappointed all the same.
Yeah, no, I agree. For some reason, it's frustrating. We seem to lose our defensive qualities against Chelsea for some reason, and we'll discuss a couple of players, or certainly one player, when we come to the Arsenal-Man United game, which is this Saturday. But before we come into this round of fixtures, we will discuss the results previously before the FA Cup, which we had a professional win over Bridgewater. And we know the history. The rest, City in the FA Cup. You could have put your arm and your leg on that. But that's for more. That's another topic on its own completely. I'm sure we all feel aggrieved a bit, but we will talk about the results from round 13. Man United played Spurs. Comfortable 3-0 win, I would say, for United. Brighton Chelsea, a little bit of a shock here. You never know what you get with Brighton, I keep saying it, but that was 0-0. Leicester City Villa. Villa got a vital 2-1 win deep in injury time, which was crucial for them as they were getting sucked into the bottom battle. Reading v Birmingham. Another great win for Reading. 3-2 this one. West Ham Everton. West Ham 3-0. Comfortable winners. And we will discuss the problems at Everton as we go on. Then there was Man City Arsenal, which was 1-1 with a controversial goal, you may say, from City. And then we had two rescheduled matches. Arsenal v Brighton, which Arsenal won 2-1. And Chelsea beat West Ham 2-0. Now, in the predictions, we didn't get any correct results, but we got, between us, 5 correct teams to win or draw to my 4. So the guest, which was Connor last time, won 10-8, which after 13 rounds makes it 106.90. Now, on the couple of the games before we go into this week's round of fixtures, I'll ask you firstly, what is the result that stands out the most? Like maybe surprises you the most?
I think the surprise result would be to draw with Brighton. I think fantastic for those. Absolutely. I think what we have seen this season is that any team is beatable. We saw United lose to Leicester. We've seen City lose a few times. We've seen Arsenal lose to Birmingham. We saw Chelsea lose in different cups as well. So I don't think I'm ever too surprised what goes on anymore. And doing these predictions, we sometimes make some rash decisions, but still educated in some way as well. So, but I think for a team like Brighton to pull off a draw like that, I think that's credit to them. These results happen, but they don't happen easily. So I think they deserve a massive shout out. But I would like to say how good I think United played against Tottenham. I think that was one of the best games that I've seen United play, definitely this season. Not only was we tight at the back, obviously we managed to score 3 goals. We did look in control in that game, managed to score 3. Could have potentially scored more. We dominated a lot of possession. I think that was a real good result for United as well.
Yeah, no, it was great. I would have to say, I would agree with you. Brighton, Chelsea, 0-0, great result for Brighton. They've been on a bit of a slump, so that would have done them a world of good getting that point. Obviously, unfortunately, they lost midweek. Beth Mead scored a great free kick, unfortunately, to send them to defeat midweek. But from what I saw, is at Brighton had their goalkeeper to thank. Megan Walsh made some very good saves. So credit to her. You get games like that where your keeper just stops everything. It was like Arsenal found that against Tottenham. They luckily got an equaliser for them.
Yeah.
But when a keeper's on form and they're just stopping everything, it's not going to be a day.
Credit to I was going to say credit to Aston Villa as well. So, they needed that win, and I know they're the favourites going into that game, and you'd expect them to win, but that was on a bit of a downhill spiral a little bit there as well, and they could have quite easily got dragged into that relegation race if they had lost that game. So, I think that was a massive win for them as well.
Yeah, no, I agree. And it was at the King Power. So, no, that was, as we've said, it was a vital win for Villa, and it gives them a little bit of clearance between them and Leicester. It gives them a 7-point clearance off Leicester and a 9-point clearance off the bottom. And they're even in front of Everton by 2 points now, which it doesn't surprise me at the moment. Everton seem to be in free fall. But before we go into this week's games, I'm going to ask you your opinion. The Man City game. Now, there was a controversial goal where it came off the ref and it went to it helped itself to Lauren Hemp, and from that attack, they scored. Now, I'm led to believe the rules say should be a drop ball if it touches the ref and helps the opposition in any way. What are your thoughts on that goal being allowed?
Looking back, obviously, it's really affected that game, and there is a massive argument to say that should have been stopped. I don't know if it was carried on because it was the same player that passed and ended up going to the same teammates. I'm not too sure. I haven't really heard what the officials have said, but either way, because it led to that goal, it's really, really hyped up. Such a massive game as well. Not that any of these make a difference. It doesn't matter what type of game it is, of course. But no, all the eyes are on the referee in that decision again because it led to a very important goal. Surely you would think that if the ball goes in that basically a completely different direction, that it would be a drop ball, because it's impacted the game quite a lot. But maybe because it never actually went to that player, then I don't know. Maybe that's the reason why they've got away with that one.
Yeah, possibly. We'll never know, I suppose. It'd be good if the refs could chat and explain their reasonings, but I don't think we'll ever get that. So never mind. But we will move on to this week's fixtures now, and we will start with a lunchtime kickoff on Saturday. It's Arsenal v Man United. First v third. Arsenal have won 4. And there's been two United wins with no draws. You can get odds of 23-20 for Arsenal, 13-5 for the draw, and 17-10 for a United win. Now, after the disappointment of midweek, can you see United bouncing back and claiming another important win at Meadow Park, which we did fantastically in the Conti Cup, got that 1-0 win, which it was still the best result for me this season. Unfortunately, we didn't get to a final because we're losing to Chelsea. But do you expect us to bounce back also with the depth? We've now got a couple of important players going to be back. Or do you worry that we could potentially have a slow start due to playing midweek?
Mm-hmm. Did you say that the odds for Chelsea there was 23-10 or 23-20?
Arsenal 23-20.
So to me, the experts there aren't giving them massive favourites. If this was at the start of the season, that would have been something like 5-1 on, 10-1 on. So it's basically evens, that is. So I think that's credit to United's form and also Arsenal's different form as well. So I think that's something worth mentioning there. Do I think we'll bounce back? I think this game will be even harder than the game a couple of weeks ago at Bournemouth. If I'm honest, I think it's going to be very tough to keep Arsenal out for 180 minutes. In effect, we might need to do. I think will be tough. Of course, Hayley Ladd will hopefully be back, so we might see some sort of difference there. But I think there's every opportunity for us to bounce back. But what I have always said going into this month is there's going to be a massive month, and all of a sudden we're playing 2 out of 3 teams who are better than us. You know, I would believe that the league doesn't lie, especially after this amount of games. And City is obviously going to be a tough game as well. So I am expected to drop points, and I think this is going to be a month where the fans will be a little bit more unhappy. It could go either way, and I think the experts have kind of said that in the odds that they've given. However, what I have seen in the past 7 or 8 games is that I've seen that we can actually do it. And if we won our game, then we can actually pull out a result. So I'm going into this one a little bit more apprehensive than I went into the cup game against Arsenal. But do I think we'll bounce back? I think if you consider a draw as a bounce back, I think that would be fairly decent. I think that's definitely on the cards. A win against a top team in the league, I think we would be the underdogs. But it's always a possibility when you've got the likes of Russo there and all the midfielders still on form as well.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's going to be another tough match. I just hope we don't suffer a hangover from playing midweek, because especially second half they worked hard to not make the scoreline anything worse against Chelsea. So there's always that worry, and I believe they went back home as well, so the travelling can't do us any favours either, because they would have got back late, early morning, and then in about tomorrow they're coming down again. So it doesn't make sense. But I believe someone said it's because of medical stuff, or so I don't know the full ins and outs why they would travel, but that's just the way it is. But you did mention one of the players I want to ask you a question about. And I think it's quite evident. It is to me how evident it is, but how important do you think Hayley Ladd is to the team? Like, if you had to compare her to Manchester United men's player from present or past, which player would you compare?
That's interesting. I think obviously in that position you think of someone who gets stuck in the centre of the midfield. So of course that's going to be someone like Roy Keane. Obviously she's not as vocal as Roy Keane, but I think she's got the respect of the teammates that Roy Keane had. Look, she does get stuck in, and we miss her massively. I appreciate that she possibly can't play every game. I appreciate that there's 6 quality midfielders, 7 now. But there's no coincidence that when she's not playing, that other players don't play as good in that position. With the introduction of Jade now, we might see someone who gets to be closer to her in regards to like some sort of ranking order in that kind of CDM role. But what she also does is, I think she gives defence to see the centre backs options for a pass out from the back, because she comes looking for that ball. She manages to get space on the ball and she'll pick out a pass. She'll also allow the more forward-thinking players, such as Zellum and Jackie and Boris, to get forward more and to use them to their strengths. But also what we've seen is, because no one really knows her as someone who assists and scores goals, she can arrive late into the box and arrive unmarked, because no one's expecting her to make that run forward. And that's why she's managed to get into positions where she can influence the attack a lot more as well now. And I just think she's a very clever player that's continuing to improve. I mean, we loved her in that second season, the first season in the WSL. And I just think her game is consistently improving. And you see her always smiling. She is underrated. And I'm really glad that like some of the core Man United fans out there really appreciate the hard work that she does.
Yeah, no, you couldn't put it more better yourself. Myself personally, I think it just shows, and it would be interesting to get a table up like they do with an analysis, to see games with Hayley Ladd and games without Hayley Ladd. It'd be interesting to see how many more we concede without Hayley Ladd in the side than with Hayley Ladd. And I think it'd be quite a bit of difference. And I don't think it would surprise United fans. I think most of the United fans I see on Twitter in general and that agree that Hayley Ladd, she just mops it up. But because of the quality of her midfield now, like you said, she is getting into them spaces where she can nip a header and that. And we have seen a couple of goals from her this season, which is great. We didn't always used to get that. It used to be maybe a long-range screamer every so often, but she's still getting in the box, which is brilliant. And it's not just the fans, though. I was having a good chat at Bridgewater with a certain someone, and he was discussing how Hayley Ladd is so important and that she goes under the radar. And I was like, I couldn't agree more with you. It was interesting what they thought, as well as not just a fan, but someone who is within the club as well. So it was interesting to hear their view on it. Mm-hmm. So, but it's prediction time now. I'm going to ask, what are you going to go for?
It's a massive game. I think, apart from the City game, I think this is potentially like one of the biggest games that we'll have now until the end of the season. You can argue like the FA Cup, obviously, it's going to be bigger being a cup game, but in the league, this is just absolutely immense. And I think both sets of players will be up for it. I think Arsenal will definitely be up for it because they know if they win this one, the league is well and truly on for them. They need to win it because of their slip-ups over like the New Year kind of time. And I think their own fans need a win as well. I think, Jonas has got a bit of criticism from the Arsenal fans, so there's no doubt Arsenal will be up for this. As you say, at Boreham Wood, so the same fans will probably be there, if not more, that lost against us a couple of weeks ago. So there's no denying if we manage to get something out of this, it's going to be an absolutely amazing result. Like I said, I don't think it's going to be easy. I think because of how well we have been playing, I can see a potential draw. I don't think we can keep a clean sheet again. I think it's just the odds are against it, I would say. So I'm probably going to go for 1-1 on this one. And it's definitely a result that I would probably take going into that City game as well.
1-1, yeah. No, I'd actually agree with you, John. 1-1. That's what I've gone for. I don't think we'll get the win, but you never know, do you? If we play like we did against Arsenal, who knows? We got Sina-Brun to come in.
Yeah.
Hopefully, maybe she'll start. If not, another cameo. Mm-hmm. And also, a quick one before we move on to another game. Fuso. Do you think she deserves a start? Because second half against Chelsea, she was brilliant.
Anthony, it's not just the second half; it's all season, in my opinion. She had such a massive season, a really, really fantastic season. She's skillful, quick. I like her out wide, drifted in, which suits Skinner's kind of style of play as well. But as always, you've got to think to yourself, well, who are you going to take out? I think what this allows us to do now is keep our starting 11 fresh and make sure that if someone isn't performing, Fuso's always there. Does she deserve a start? Yes. But does anybody else deserve to be dropped? Probably not, because they've still got like 7 wins out of 8. So let's put it this way: if she starts, I'll be excited, definitely. She'll probably play more of a right attacking forward. So it could potentially be Tooney back in the middle, Russo up front, and then Galton on the left. So that's probably the way I would like to see it, if that was the case. But yeah, Fuso is really excited with the season, and I'm really happy that she managed to get more game time and she's playing the way she is.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree with you more. Still only young, 19, 20, I believe. So still exciting things to come, and you only have to remember that Ella Toon wasn't a certain starter when she first started at United, so hopefully we'll see a similar progression with Fuso.
Yeah.
So now we will move on to another important game in what it's not technically the top four, but it is what I'm classing as the top four, the big boys. Chelsea v Man City, head to head. Chelsea have won 6. There's been 6 draws. And this might surprise you, but City have only beat Chelsea twice.
Mm-hmm.
Now you can get odds of Chelsea at 2-5, a draw at 19-5, or Man City, which is quite good odds if you were to put City on, is 5-1. Now it's obviously another big game. Chelsea will be on cloud 9. They've booked their Conti Cup final place again. Sam Kerr is back now and home advantage. Do you expect a Chelsea win, or can you see City throwing a spanner in the works with them needing to continue their Europe charge, players coming back? I'm not too sure who's coming back now, and they seem to have sorted the keeping situation out as well with their second choice keeper now. So that can only help them in defence. What are your thoughts?
City are gradually getting stronger, but we've seen it. We have seen it since Christmas. They're still not at full throttle, I don't think. I think I have seen less City fans getting on the manager's back lately, which I think is a sign of, they are turning things around. But to me, Chelsea and Arsenal this season, they have been levels ahead. So when they're on form and they're doing everything right, they are untouchable. And I consider that could be the case this weekend as well. If Chelsea are on form, which they're not doing too bad at the moment. If Chelsea do their bit, I think it'll be very difficult for City to stop them. So I do consider them to be favourites. Whether or not City are 5-1, I think that's interesting because they could quite easily nick a 2-1 or a 1-0. So I think that's probably a little bit unfair on City on that aspect. But I do see Chelsea as favourites, especially at home, especially after coming off the back of that win against us. So definitely Chelsea as favourites. I think it's going to be. It always seems to be one of those games where you can always predict goals. It always seems to be. If ever it's like a 2-2, 3-3, I wouldn't be surprised. And I don't know why that potentially is, because I appreciate City haven't had the best defence this season, but I can always see goals in these type of matches. So I think I probably will go for a heavy scoreline. Not 100% sure yet. I'll listen to what you have to say, Anthony, and then I'll jump in with a score prediction.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, no. With it being at Kings Meadow and their confidence up, they've sort of got over their little slump that they had pre-COVID, getting back to their winning ways. Unfortunately for the likes of us, but I just feel with the home advantage, the home crowd, certain players coming back, and that, I feel like I agree with you. I think Chelsea will be favourites, and in a way, as the United fans, we probably want Chelsea to win because we want to try and increase that gap between us and City. Because if we could beat Arsenal and then Chelsea beat City and then we beat City, that would be a 10-point gap. 10-point gap with 8 games left to play. Now, I think we would have to do a Newcastle.
I was going to say Newcastle.
If we slipped up from that position, but us ifs and buts, isn't it? We'll find out the reality in the next couple of weeks if we're in a really good situation or if we're in a situation where people are having a meltdown on Twitter.
Anthony, I will say this. I just wish that City game or any of these games just didn't all come in 1 month because, yeah, it's a fantastic month. But we could go into that game next week on a bit of a downer because of the 2 games before it. When really, it's still not a downer. It's still potentially going to be third going into that game. We've still had an amazing run getting to the semi-final of the Conti Cup. Obviously, still in the FA Cup. That all of a sudden we could potentially come out of this month on a massive downer, having just won 7 games on a trot with 7 clean sheets. But because we've had such an intense month, that could completely flip the mentality of the players as well. I'm not so bothered about the fans as such, but definitely the players. So we could go into that derby game thinking, oh, we've just lost to Chelsea, just lost to Arsenal. When really, if City was the first game, that our mentality would be completely different. I mean, come back off like 7 wins and 7 clean sheets. So, I think that's the only thing for me that's putting this on a downer because I think we can take City quite easily with the mentality that we had going into the Chelsea game at least. But if we do lose this weekend going into City, I think it's just going to be like Skinner's going to have to do some fantastic work mentally, not so much on the pitch because he's been doing that all season, but mentally making sure that our players still know that they're the better players this season. Going into a prediction, Anthony, I'm going to go for 3-1 Chelsea. I think it's going to be an open game. I think, there could be even more goals. There could be more chances, but I'm going to go for 3-1 Chelsea.
Yeah, fair enough. I think it would be a bit tighter than that.
Okay.
So I've gone for 2-1 Chelsea.
Uh-huh.
Like you, I just think with home advantage, Chelsea are. And even though they played midweek and they won't be as fresh, they've got such a big squad. Kirby didn't start the other night. Obviously, Kerr come back. So it's looking promising for Chelsea. They're getting who they need back and that. And I just feel with the crowd and it being at home that Chelsea will get the win. So I've gone for 2-1. So that is Chelsea, Man City out of the way. We will discuss Everton v Reading now. It's 10th v 6th. Everton have won 4 times, head-to-head twice. Is a draw, and Reading have only won once. But the odds are 21-20 for Everton, 12-5 for a draw, and 2-1 for a Reading win. Now, it's interesting. Since these teams last met in the league, the tables have turned. Everton won this game at the Medeski 3-0. But since then, Reading haven't won. Everton haven't won a single league game. Everton haven't lost a single game. Now, what's going wrong at Everton? They're in all sorts of trouble. They sacked Willie Kirk. They got this ex-Lyon manager, Jean, in. And suddenly out of the blue, well, I don't know if it's out of the blue, they sacked him at a weird time to do it. 12 on a Monday, Tuesday morning. So what's going on with Everton?
When you look at the timing of that sacking, it makes me think that there's unrest somewhere, whether it be the manager clashing with his bosses or the players not happy, because there's no way that Everton was going to get relegated and there was no way they was going to make Champions League. So what's the point of doing it now? You might as well just wait until the end of the season and see what actually develops, see what the manager's actually going to do with these players that he's got, because we know it's going to take time, and he hasn't had that much time at all, has he? So to me, there's something that's gone on behind the scenes there that doesn't quite sit right. We know that there's decent players there. I think a lot of people got hyped over the individuals. I think over the summer they signed some good players. I don't ever think there was going to be a top 4 contenders. And maybe that was it. Maybe the expectations from the board was too high, and I don't think Willie Kirk helped that with what he was saying as well. Obviously, that's probably hyped up some of the fans as well. It's made some of the rival fans laugh at them more and put more pressure on. That they're not in a false position because they haven't deserved to be any higher this season. However, I think another 1 or 2 wins that would have been good enough. I don't think too many Everton fans would have complained because I don't think there was ever really going to challenge any higher than 5th. So a bit unfortunate for the new manager that didn't get the time. But for me, there must be something behind that why he didn't get to the end of the season to do it.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I agree with you. There must be some. It was just out of the blue, wasn't it? Really, I know they hadn't been doing great, but why would you do it at such a weird time? It is a weird one, but you don't know because obviously they sacked Kirk to get better form, and it just hasn't happened, has it? They steadied the ship a little bit with a draw, but then it never really materialised. I don't know if the players didn't like the method of the manager. I don't know. It's very much.
The league's very strong as well, Anthony, isn't it? You look at Leicester and Birmingham, not so great this season. They're both battling it down there, but we know that Leicester still got some decent players, and we know that Birmingham are still decent organised. They're just not as good as the rest.
Yeah.
And then the next level up is your likes of Aston Villa, who's doing okay for what they've got there. So it's tough for Everton. Maybe they underestimated it. I don't know, but they haven't done what they should be doing, and that is getting into that top 6, top 5. Maybe the board wants higher, and now they've come unstuck. Sacking managers don't help, not all the time. Sacking them once, okay. Sacking 2 managers in a season when you've only got like 22 matches, it's not right. So something's gone on there, and obviously we just mentioned previously as well about the men's team sacking the men's manager. It's not a great time at Everton at the moment.
No, you're right. It's not indeed. And even though Everton have only played 11 games, if Leicester win on the weekend and Everton lose, yes, they have 2 games in hand of Leicester, but well, it's not the top. It's not the bottom 2 anyway, so it wouldn't really worry them. They'd probably worry more if Birmingham won. But if it continues, they could get dragged into a battle.
Yeah.
Like you said, we've discussed it. Arsenal beating Birmingham. If Birmingham can get on a roll, which is I doubt it. I don't think it's going to happen. I just think it was one of them games where they just worked so hard. Arsenal weren't at the races, and they caught Arsenal on a good day. But what are you thinking, scoreline prediction wise?
I don't fancy Arsenal. Sorry, I don't fancy Everton. Sorry, at all. I think I didn't even say Arsenal. Something just made me think Arsenal.
Yeah,
I can see Everton losing this one if I'm honest. I think there's nothing to say to me. Okay, new manager, not even a new manager, just like a new regime. They might have some sort of bounce, but not necessarily. So to me, I think I'm seeing another Everton loss here. I'm going to go for a 2-0 loss.
Cool. And believe it or not, I've gone for a 2-0 Reading as well.
Too far off this week, are we?
Well, we said we've all gone for the same two correct results and the same team to win. So it could be a close one this week. But no, you just basically hit it on the head. I just agree with you. They got their interim, a couple of people, I can't remember their names, in charge for this weekend, this games. But I don't know how how they can get their points across in like 2-3 days. I just think Reading are on a roll. So I can only see one winner here. Reading they started off slow to the season, but since the game against Everton last time out, they haven't looked back, and they're fully deserved. They're still in the FA Cup. They had a good win against Brighton last week, so Reading will be full of confidence. So hence I've gone for 2-0. Now we'll move on to Birmingham v Leicester now. You could call it a 6-pointer, which it probably is, with Birmingham on 4 points and Leicester on 6. They've only met once, which Leicester won a few weeks back. You can get odds of Birmingham at 77 to 100, a draw at 11 to 4, and a Leicester win at 13 to 5. Now, they've obviously both picked up points in recent weeks, but who do you think has the edge? Is it curtains for Birmingham if they lose?
Yeah, possibly. I mean, it could all come down to maybe the last 2 or 3 games, and all of a sudden Birmingham get some points on the boards. When they know that they could be going down. But I think if Leicester was to win this one, I think that could potentially be it. Then I think this game's more important than the top of the table teams, because we speak about the strength and depth of the league. You can see a few teams maybe taking points off the league leaders because we've seen it, but it's not very often that you see the bottom take points off to clubs higher. We've seen it maybe once with Birmingham against Arsenal, but generally you don't see too many massive results from the bottom team. So this game to me is really really important for the futures of both teams. Who has the edge? I don't know if they do have an edge. I don't think any team particularly has an edge. You can say Birmingham being away. It sounds like the experts favour Birmingham slightly. But then could you say that Leicester have got, they've got points on the board. They've got maybe a few more better players potentially on the day. So I don't think any team really has the edge. I think it's just whoever's best on the day, whoever takes the chances on the day. I do think there'll be a couple of goals, maybe 3 goals. I don't think it's going to be a high-scoring game, and I think it's going to be massive for Birmingham, because if they do end up losing this one, I can see that's going to be the end of it for them.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree with you more, John. To me, it's who turns up on the day, because I've backed Leicester, and normally when I back Leicester, they lose. So bear that in mind in your prediction, because I might have backed Leicester to win. So, but no, it depends who turns up on the day. This one, I think they both can win it on their days. I think Leicester have probably got the better squad, but like we've discussed before, it just hasn't clicked for them this season. So, but I agree as well. I think Birmingham are in big trouble if they lose. It'll be a 5-point gap with not many games to go. Leicester, 8 games to go with a 5-point gap. Now, when you're not winning many games, that's a hard feat. But
well, when you say that, Anthony, that means if Leicester just win one more game from now to the end of the season, it means Birmingham need to win 3. And you just got to think to yourself, how's that going to happen now? Potentially, you do see these bottom of the league clubs pulling in some sort of run together when they really need to, and that could happen. But there's nothing saying that it's actually going to happen. We haven't seen anything along those lines, have we? So that's why I think that if Leicester win this one, they'll probably win at least one more before the end of the season, or at least get a couple of draws here and there, and that just really puts it very difficult for Birmingham. Sorry, I interrupted that. Go on.
No. I was pretty much finished. I was just going to ask. So, prediction time.
Yeah, I think Birmingham will fight really hard. So I don't know if they'll be the best team, and I think that they'll probably be maybe happy at the end of the game with this result they're going to give. So I was going to go for a 1-1. I think they'll just about hang in there, and they'll take it down to the wire and probably rely on the last couple of 3 games to try and win it that way.
So you changed your mind from the 3 goals then?
Yeah, I did say 2 or 3 goals. When I said 2 goals, I thought that might have been a giveaway with the prediction. So
yeah, I thought you were going to go. I thought you were going to say 2-1 Leicester, because that's
it could be. Really
that's who I've gone for. I've gone for 2-1 Leicester.
Yeah,
but we'll see. Like you said, it could go either way. Really, I think it just, like we've touched on, whoever can play the best on their game. We know they can both do it, but it is what it is. Time will tell, and we will see that important game Sunday. Moving on to Spurs v Brighton then. 4th v 8th. Spurs have won 3 times. They haven't drawn, and there's been 2 Brighton wins. You can get Spurs at 1-2, a draw at 3-1, and Brighton at 21-5. Now, for me, this game has got 1 goal written over it. Do you agree, or could you see it being a more open game?
It's easy to say that, Anthony, because I agree. If you have a look at all the figures and what's happened throughout the course of the season, yeah, it looks like maybe a 1-0, 1-1, something like that, or even a 0-0 potentially. I think Tottenham, they've got to, I'm not going to say they're going to turn it around, but they need to kind of do something soon, or else it's going to look quite embarrassing for them, because they started the season really well. A lot of fans, not just Tottenham fans, but like rival fans were saying, Tottenham deserve to be there. They're a good team. They've got a good manager. This, that, and the other. They've recruited well, and they started the season really well. But they've gradually slipped away. So for them, they need to look at this game. If they're seriously, if they're being serious about top 3 or even top 4, and just miss out on Champions League by 1 position, these are the games that they need to be picking up wins. I've been spoken to a few people on these podcasts and on Twitter. A lot of people think that Tottenham's time has been and gone now, and they're going to start dropping down the league, which would then indicate this could be another game where they end up drawing. I don't think they'll lose this game. I know Brighton are a funny team, and you never know what you're going to get. And I still don't know with Brighton. I think we've got to the stage in the season, and you can still never predict. I think the one good thing about Brighton coming into this game is that they are against a Tottenham team that aren't great at the moment, if you base that on compared to at the start of the season. So I think Brighton do stand a chance. They are underdogs, but they're only underdogs if Tottenham perform at the best. And we don't really know if that's going to happen. So I'm not going to say a Brighton win. So I'll say that, and I'll come over to you, Anthony.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think Spurs have had their time, and potentially they could slip down to where Reading are. Reading have just been picking up points here and there, and Reading, they're only 2 points behind Spurs, and they've got a game in hand. So it doesn't look good for Spurs. I think they'll take 6th place as things stand at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
I think I can see them finishing mid-table, because I just feel like Man City are just going to get better. Reading's confidence is super high, and they're not a bad team. The experienced manager in Kelly Rogers, she's been there a while now. So, Spurs have got a good manager, but they haven't got the best Skinner, have they? So, yeah, had to get that one in.
That's a good one.
But yeah, we discussed it, didn't we? I think the confidence from Spurs fan would be because they were overachieving, but they were there by merit. But there's only a amount of so many times you can win 1-0 and it not come to punish you, because you only have to look at United. United can't. Well, saying that, we did win 1-0 on our last one game where we didn't score more than Well, one, but against Arsenal. But normally, we normally need at least a couple. It was evident at Spurs when they scored that goal, and Everton. But for me, it's going to be a tight, nitty-gritty game. But I'm going to go for a 1-0 Spurs win. I just think it's one of them games where I think they'll be able to contain Brighton, and they'll just get over the line and get a much-needed win. What are your thoughts?
I was 40% 1-0 Tottenham and 60% 1-1. So it's very rare I go for draws on this channel, I've noticed.
Yeah.
I am going to go for a 1-1 again.
Yeah.
Just because I do think that Tottenham will have to play better. But I just don't want to discredit what Brighton are doing as well. So, I was going to go for a 1-1. But Tottenham could turn up, couldn't they? They could turn up. It could all be wrong. And maybe the start of the season wasn't a freak and they deserved every bit of it. But I'm going to go for a 1-1 again.
Yeah, no, not a bad scoreline to predict. So with that leads us to our last game, and it's another interesting one in the middle towards the bottom. It's Villa v West Ham. Villa have never beaten West Ham. There's been 3 draws and 1 West Ham win. You can get odds of 11-4 for a Villa win, 13-5 for a draw, and 17-20 for a West Ham win. Obviously, it's 97th. With 3 draws out 4 times they've played, are you expecting another tight game? Villa with a vital win last time out against Leicester needed that much needed win to get a gap between Birmingham and Villa, like we discussed. It's now 9 points. So, what are your thoughts on this game? Because I got the prediction right on this scoreline, I believe, last time out. I believe it was a draw.
Okay.
And I think we could, even though Villa got home advantage, I think it could be a similar outcome.
Okay. That's interesting. I think this is a game that I'm going to, by the way. I'll be going to this game. Obviously, it's not necessarily about.
Oh, yeah, because it's
not too far. Yeah, not too far from my house. So, well, about 35 minutes.
You don't fancy Birmingham Leicester with Craney in that, then? No?
If it was on a Sunday, my day off, then maybe. But unfortunately, I'm working on the Saturday. Villa's had a good transfer window. Something that we haven't really mentioned on this show about the January transfer window, and I think Villa's had a very good one. Whether or not all those players will start, whether or not they'll gel right away, I don't know, but it's definitely going to lift the club. As you mentioned, they had a good result against Birmingham, winning that one as well. So I think Villa will be going into this one fairly upbeat. I think they'll know that they can win this game anyway. West Ham have had a season that you kind of expect, middle of the road, as you say. I think where they are in the league is pretty much where they are. I think that's pretty decent. And it's up to Villa to win these matches to kind of say, look, this is where we are. We're not a bottom of the league team. We're a mid-table team like you, West Ham. So I do see Aston Villa taking points on this one. How many? I'm still undecided, so I'll have a little think. But I think that's different against West Ham. I think West Ham have had a decent season. The winning games that you kind of not expect them to win, but you expect them to win a few and you expect them to lose a few. I think that's just the position that they're in. But I do kind of fancy Aston Villa a little bit on this one. Having spoke to a couple of the fans as well, they're a bit more positive on this one. Home game as well. And they've got a decent crowd behind them as well, Aston Villa. So potentially, if they all make a bit of a racket as well, that could go in their favour. So I do fancy Villa to get something out of this game. How about yourself?
Yeah, no, I think Villa will get something out of the game, but I would and hard whether it would be a Villa win or if it would be a draw. But I'll let you know what I've gone for when you've given your prediction. But it's going to be a tight game. I think it will either be a draw or 1 goal either either way, you pretty much hit it on the head. West Ham, they're where they're expected to be. Really, I feel they're not going to get relegated. They're not going to challenge for Europe. They'll be content, especially with they were struggling. I know this is away, but they were struggling to score at home last season, so they managed to stop that rot pretty quick in the season. But for me, it's one of them. It could go either way, couldn't it? It just depends. The home crowd could push them over, but we can see it. You only have to look at West Ham when they played Spurs and they were 1-0 down.
Yeah.
They don't give up, and they were down to 10. They still managed to luck a draw. So you can never write West Ham off. So it's an interesting one, but I will ask your scoreline prediction now.
Yeah, I've gone for 2-2. I was very close saying Villa 2-1. But you are right when you says about what West Ham did against Spurs. I think they did show that the fight, and I think they'll need to do that this week as well. So I think that would be a good point for Villa as well. I think if they pick up the odd points here and there now, just to make sure that they're not in that relegation battle, then see how far up the table they can actually go. And I mean, just before you give your prediction, Anthony, what would you consider as a successful season for Aston Villa this season? Is it just to stay in the WSL, or now would you consider them? They need to start finishing a little bit higher than that.
Nah, probably where they are now, really. Because before the season started, I felt like Villa were going to be battling it out with Birmingham. If I believe right, but they had a good start, so I think that gave them that's given them a bit of breathing space. So I think Villa, they'll be happy to stay up, especially they lost a couple of decent players in the summer. So no, I've gone for 1-1. I reckon another point towards safety.
Yeah. That's the way. I think that's the way they'll look at it first and foremost. Just make sure that we stay up, and then anything else, let's start climbing the league if they can. Yeah,
definitely. Anyway, that's this weekend's fixtures discussed. But before we go, just want to bring up a young striker that made a debut against Bridgewater. Got a few minutes, which was great. Kana, first father and daughter to play for United, so that was another great first. It was great, fully deserved for Kana, and hopefully it will give the likes of Maria Edwards a chance as well. But what are your thoughts before we do go? Pleased for her, obviously. Chuffed.
Yeah.
She. Can you see potentially getting any more match day squad experience, or is?
I think. Sorry, Matt. I think the fact that we got like Man City, and we always seem to get tough draws. I think that could have just been the one game that we might see this season. We don't know that for definite, and that's not a bad thing, by the way. We give her that experience, and I wasn't able to make the Monday match day show this week. Because I was at work, so I kind of missed having the chance to speak about it. But it was an amazing day. I mean, I think that was probably the best part of the day. Obviously, the win, but the actual performance itself was just very professional. It wasn't a performance where we was blown away.
It was an awful pitch as well. So and we didn't have any injuries. So
no injuries. We didn't get a chance to actually see any of our new signings play. Obviously, it was good when they came over at the end. Which was enjoyable. But for us, that day belonged to the Solskjaer family, not just Connor. Obviously, Ollie and his wife was there as well. So it was a great day for them. We started singing a few songs. You would have seen all the videos on Twitter by myself and Karen. How fantastic they were. And Yeah, it was just an all-round great day for her. She was quite shy at the end, when she started singing. When we started singing a song, she's not used to that. She's not used to playing in front of 2,000 fans. She'll have to start getting used to that. I was surprised actually about how tall she was compared to her teammates. When her teammates, she's tall. And yeah, it was just nice for Ollie as well when he was leaving the stadium. The amount of cheers and songs that he got. Who put the ball in the Germans' net comes to mind. And so really great day for the Solskjaer family there as well.
Yeah, no, it was great. And hopefully, not just them, but hopefully it will give the other devs, the under-21s, the belief that any one of them can get a chance, which is great. It always, when you do get that chance, it gives you that fire that if they can get in, then why can't we? But just quickly, why do you think we saw Kana and not Maria Edwards in the match day squad?
That's a great question, and I don't know. I really don't know. Why haven't we seen Maria all season? She hasn't been loaned out. She must be in Skinner's thought in some shape or form. Still not being loaned out, even though it's January transfer window just gone now. I really don't know. Is it the type of play that Maria's playing, which is different to Kana's? Don't know. For me, I would have thought Maria would be further ahead because she's had that loan period. She's scoring for fun in the devs, just like Kana. And it does seem that she's slightly being forgotten about from an outside point of view. I'm not saying that she has at all, because I'm sure them taking the time on Maria. Or maybe this was just the day just to kind of boost Manchester United, and I'm really not discrediting Kana here because she deserves a chance just as much as Maria. But maybe, Man United needed a bit of a boost. So they thought, okay, well, Kana deserves a chance. Let's put Kana on. And it was just almost down to that. Because it could have been a flip of a coin. It could quite easily be Maria.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. But that wraps up the prediction show for today. Make sure you like and subscribe and get your predictions in the comments. What have we got for the rest of the week, John? Is it Fans Forum?
Yeah, Fans Forum tonight. It's a good panel. We got 5 or 6 of us on there. Match day tomorrow. We got some content there as well as usual on match days.
Karen, will that be with Karen? Will it?
Karen usually puts some stuff on that we'll retweet. Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, and you'll hear the foghorn in the background on these videos.
100%. Yeah, you will do. We will do. And then next week, busy week next week. Got a few things lined up there as well. So, cracking couple of weeks ahead. Absolutely.
Great. Anyway, thanks for watching and listening, guys, and hope you all have a good weekend. Till next time. Bye. Cheers, John.